Today's episode is brought to you by Domain.com.
Hey guys, my name's Daniel James and I'm a film and video game composer. And I'm also the composer on Ryan Connolly's u.f.oh, yeah. Ryan asked me if I'd answer some questions for him today, so here we go. For writing music, I use a piece of software called Ableton Live, which in the composing world is actually kind of a... not many people use it. It's a different choice. The reason I use it is because the way I compose is I use lots of sound design and audio manipulation, which Ableton Live is good with. Most people, though, when they're writing in terms of scores or notation, they'll use software like Cubase or Logic or even Pro Tools. Many of which you may have heard of before. But to be honest, when it comes to composing music, all you really need is whatever software works best for you, because your aim is the end product. So whatever gets you there with the least amount of hurdles is the piece of software you want to use. So obviously, other than the tone, the biggest differences was, in fact, I don't even know. I should probably think about these questions a bit before I answer them. When it comes to temp score, it all depends on the deadline. If the deadline's going to be in the next 2 days, as what's happened recently on a project I've been working on, it normally helps if you've got a temp score, because then you and the director, if the deadline's going to be this close, the chances are you and the director haven't had that much of a chance to discuss what you're going to do. So if they put a temp score in, you as a composer, particularly when you've got enough experience, you know what they're aiming for. He may not want exactly that sound, but you get the idea emotionally of what he's going for. The pace, the grandeur, the size, everything. You can feel what they want, and then you can convert that into your own music as fast, the quickest way possible. Whereas if it's something where you've got plenty of time, it's always fun to have nothing and then discuss it with the director, what kind of things you want to try, and just let the imagination take over and then run with your own fresh ideas. My main recommendations would obviously be YouTube. I mean, you're listening to me right here, right now, and I'm giving you advice. The biggest reason, if you go to school, that's the best place for the technical knowledge and, the general proper way to do it. Whereas things like YouTube, you get a lot of different ideas from lots of different types of people. So what I say about music, particularly with the arts, there's no right way to do it. So, hearing from as many creative people who have completely different opinions on the same subject allows you to bring in all the information you want and then form your own ideas on how you want to go about achieving the end product. So yeah, YouTube would be the best place to go. In terms of learning resources, I actually have a YouTube channel, because I'm going to pimp my own thing here, but where I review music software and I talk about music in general and things like that. So I'd recommend going to my one, but I already said YouTube. I should probably pick something else. This question is literally, it's the director's call. As a composer, you have a very informed and experienced opinion on what you think it should be. You can feel when it's right personally. If someone's dying, you know what dying music feels like as a composer. If someone says I want some big action music, you know what that feels like. If someone says I want the audience to cry at this point, you have your ideas on how to get there. But at the end of the day, as a composer for hire, which is what you are when you work on a film, it's ultimately the director's vision that you're trying to fulfill. So when you've achieved it when the director says, yep, I approve that cue. So it's, I wish, if it was a personal option, sometimes you do things differently, but you need to keep in mind that it's their film and, they don't call him Ryan 3 frames Connolly for nothing. Again, this is down to discussions you would have with the director. So the theme or chorus, you wouldn't really call it a chorus in film music, but the theme that you're going for is you really have to read the story and say, what's the main emotion? What's the main feeling of this entire project? With u.f.oh, yeah, for example, the theme that's in the credits is very kind of heroic and accomplished. You've got to think in terms of ideas, just concepts. So if the film is all about, this hitman who, is in love with his victim or whatever, there's a certain kind of relationship there. The theme needs to feel loving yet dangerous, and while at the same time it needs to, incorporate all the things, the aggression of the character, but then the soft side of him. So you think about all these in terms of conceptual points. And then musically, you try and convey that. So you could even go like down to like orchestrational level. So like a loneliness. So like maybe this assassin, I don't know why I'm talking about assassins, but this assassin could be a lonely character. So then you could portray that with just a solo string instrument. And then the love interest could have like a piano vibe. So already you've got a piano and a violin, you know, the piano representing the love interest, the violin representing the assassin. But then you need the aggression. So maybe you've got like some thumping drums with synths at the same time. And in terms of the actual melody, that is just based, like you can start with melody. I tend not to. I tend to start with the tone, like how a theme's going to feel. So with u.f.oh, Ye's theme, I actually started with the progression and the rhythm, because the rhythm's very da, 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 da. So it's like very kind of pumping and energetic, because, you know, our hero has, you know, achieved a lifelong dream of meeting a u.f.oh, you know, and he abducts it. Spoilers. The theme was quite, you know, easy to write conceptually, because it makes a lot of sense. And also I based a lot of the melodies on things that happen within the film. So usually you do it the other way around. You'd write the theme first and then, you know, use the theme throughout the film. I actually wrote the film first and did the theme last, but it actually made writing the theme much easier. So yeah, that's how I go about it. To be honest, it doesn't matter how much in terms of music they know. Because when you want to talk to a director, you don't want to talk music at all, really. You don't want to be talking about like musical intervals, or, you know, like, oh, we should have the minor third here because it's sad. You never want to talk to a director like that. How you want to speak to a director is in terms of emotion and intent for a scene or a film in general. So when I talk to Ryan, I say, okay, how do you want this to feel? Like, particularly like in u.f.oh, yeah. So there's a scene where Josh's character is being abducted, and you can clearly see on his face he's very happy. So Ryan's instruction wasn't like, we should do like a major progression that, you know, that does this. No, what he said was, what I want it to feel like is, you know, this elation. You know, he's finally gonna, you know, achieve this goal of meeting aliens. You know, he's being abducted. This is a lifelong dream for him. And I can take that, and I can take those words, you know, lifelong dream, you know, ambition, things like this. And you can feel musically as a composer what that should be like. So I block things in. And again, I go back to concepts. Like if you, this isn't what you'd say to a director, but I point it out to them later because it's a fun fact. But like in the abduction scene, when he's being lifted off the ground, all the music is rising. So like the chords are actually going up and up and up. And that's because I wanted to not only show the emotion, but I was kind of referencing what was going on the screen, because his character was physically being lifting up. I had the music going up. But these are the kinds of things you can talk to a director. Like you can say, I have this idea about the music rising along with the physical character. And, you know, that's the kind of conversation you want to have. You never want to talk musically with a director. If a director is musically inclined, you'll find your life as a composer a little bit more annoying, because, you know, you'll have your piece of music and they'll say, oh, wouldn't this be better if we had like a major third over a 7 here? And you're like, maybe not. The main thing you keep in mind is the director's vision. As a composer, you tend to be the last person in a long line of other creative people to get in on the film. And the last thing you want to do is come in with an ego and be like, I'm going to make this my vision of what this film should be. That's never a good way to do it. So the main thing I keep in mind is, what does the director want for this film? What does he want for the scene? What does he want for this emotion? You know, what does he want in general? And you just have to keep referencing whatever you're doing with that vision. You know, and you've always got to keep that in mind. The second your ego starts going, well, here I'm going to write, you know, this German waltz over this like big action scene because, you know, I'm a clever creative, you know, if that's not in tune with the director, or, you know, that vision that you need to keep in mind, then, you know, you're going to have this conflict, you know, of interest. If you're just writing music for yourself, what do I keep in mind? It's, what do I want to achieve with this piece of music? Like if I'm doing trailer music, for example, it's, okay, this music's going to be placed over, you know, like a UFC competition, like advert trailer. So I need to keep the action up. You know, what kind of cuts in the music do I need to have in order to, you know, make something that I haven't got in front of me exciting? So it depends on whatever you're writing at the time. But if you're writing for hire, which most composers will tend to do, you need to always have in mind what your employer wants from you. And then you just have to be true to that vision, but true to that vision in your own voice. That's how you deal with that.
If you're an entrepreneur, innovator, or inventor of any kind, Domain.com is the place to go for your next
Great idea. They have a domain extension list, 200 plus and growing all the time. Extensions like .ninja, .nyc, .club, .expert, and so on. And we could save you money by using coupon code FilmRiot at checkout. You get 20% off your domain names, your web hosting, and your email. When you think domain names, think domain.com. Thank you everybody for sending in your questions, and thank you Daniel for taking the time to answer those questions. And we are coming very close to the end of the first month of Film Riot's Epic Summer, which means we're coming very close to the release of Seth Worley's next short film, which I'm very excited about. We got a couple more episodes for you guys, and if you want to follow any of the filmmakers that were involved in making u.f.oh, yeah, you can find that in the notes below, along with links to the companies that helped make this whole project happen. But that's it, and I'll see you guys next time.